How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you so much. How are
I,
you?
I'm very well. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about The Swimmer. I watched it last night and just have so much love for it. It was exactly what I needed on a Sunday night at the tail end of the weekend. Um, so I had a lot of fun with it. Um, so
I'm
I
so
was,
happy to hear.
yeah. Have you had the chance to see anything at the festival so far?
Unfortunately, no. But from tomorrow, I will dedicate my time to watch as many films as I can. But it's a bit overwhelming at the moment, and there is a lot of things happening. So I'm also trying to take this moment to really enjoy it and to, soak it in. We worked so long on this film, and to have it here in the festival, which is one of my favorite festivals in my favorite city. So it's really a fantastic circle.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, well, hopefully you manage to take some stuff in tomorrow. But I suppose also enjoy the buzz of having your own film play at the festival. It's a huge achievement. Um, so I would love to know how long it took you from getting this from page to screen. So from the script to the actual filming process. Was that a long one?
Um, so it was a really long process because I knew that I want to write this film about, it wasn't a doubt, but it was a long process because I needed also to, in the first part of the writing, I needed to dive into really old memories, traumatic memories. So it was hard, it was, challenging and excellent. And the other part was actually to separate myself. Every time I'm saying a part, it's like 3 years. So and I needed to separate myself from the actual story because I needed to remember I'm making a film.
Yeah.
And it's also very, very hard because I was, trapped in the real memories, which not necessarily can reflect, strongly in a 1 hour, 90 minutes film.
Yeah.
So it was very layered. But now I feel like I can take a big breath and be very proud. Yesterday was this moment, so I'm happy.
Was it quite a cathartic experience writing the story inspired by your life? Did you feel a sense of relief once it was finished?
I felt a sense of relief project-wise, but I also know that there is still so much work to do against homophobia in sport and generally. Therefore, I cannot say I felt a relief project-wise because it was a long birth, but there is still so many stories to tell and so many things to do. So it was like a quick relief because, there is another movie and another film and later.
It continues.
Yes, it's layered. It's kind of the way I choose to live my life. It's like a never-ending creation. Also working with my husband, which is the casting director and also the choreographer of The Swimmer. So it was great because we could, and he's also, when he's not helping me, he's a painter and an artist. So our home is dedicated to a 24/7 creation. There is no beginning, no end, so it's fantastic.
I would love to ask about, obviously the visuals can be quite homoerotic. There's a lot of male bodies, perfect physiques. Was a challenge to kind of capture that and also the homophobia within the sport. So you have this kind of battle between homoeroticism everywhere you look and also homophobia. How did you kind of craft that mix?
How did I what? Just the end of the question, sorry.
How did you create that mix?
Okay, so regarding you said quite homoerotic, and we can drop the quite because it's super from a really early stage, I decided that I'm going to tell the story 100% through the POV of Erez, the main character. Therefore, whatever the audience will see on the screen, it will be in the same time that Erez, like basically we are following his look. So I chose the reason that the homoeroticism is so on the surface, because this is what his gaze looking for. This is, and for me it was the like drops of water in the, in the desert, literally. So he's searching for this beauty. He's searching for things that can help him stay alive in this kind of very harsh environment, very competitive. So for me, choosing to show the film through his eyes was the part of the homoeroticism. Regarding the homophobia, I don't know, it's a bit, it's a bummer, but it's everywhere all the time. Even, I see it, I feel it on my own everyday life. So I needed to work, I didn't need to work so hard to bring it into the screen or to the story, because, this film is based on my actual story, life experience. When I was 17, I moved to this, I started to swim when I was 9 years old. And when I was 17, I moved to this specific, for this facility for gifted young athletes. I left home, I moved there, and basically I've been there for 3 years, and this is where this is where the story happens in the film, and it's based on my experience there. So, yeah, I don't remember what was the question. But,
no, you've answered, yeah. Thinking about the sexual tension between Erez and Nevo, was there ever part of you that wanted to kind of push this further and actually, there's the kind of the scene with the shaving at near the end of the film, which is quite tense. Was there ever part of you that wanted to kind of take it that step further?
It's super interesting. I mean, it's a great question. Yesterday after the screening, somebody came to me and he told me, it was the first time I saw a gay film and this kind of film, and there is not even one kiss there. Like basically, it's never reaching to the point that. And it was interesting to me, because then I realized that it happened because I was a swimmer myself, and I felt that it's a great opportunity to tell this story, and also to give the audience a peek into this hermetic elite sport kind of facility. So I decided to be really truthful to the actual life in this place. Therefore, a kiss or taking it further, it's out of the question, because this kind of facility, even the word gay is not being used. It's all under the surface or under the water, I would say. But so it wasn't a question for me to take it further, because I felt that in this moment in the main character's life, it's not about it. Again, with myself, it took me many years to actually get out of the closet and take it further. Many years after, when I was 18. So I felt that if I want to be truthful to the character, the shaving scene is the peak of the peak of the peak where it can get, and it's very controversial, and it's actually based on real events, but still, I couldn't, I tried, but I didn't believe it, because it's not part of the strict rules of the facility.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would love to speak about the character of Aloma. I really loved her as a character. Can you tell me about the creation of her? There's something a little bit camp about the look. It's almost like, the stereotypical Russian gymnast. What kind of went into the creation of her as a character?
Um, okay, it's super interesting. I think around in the 90s, you know, yesterday in the Q&A, somebody asked me a question, but when I went home to the hotel and, you know, I was lying in bed and I was like, oh, I didn't answer the full answer. That was very interesting. It's also connected to Dima, the coach. Both of them are coming from a different country. I mean, in the 90s in Israel, there was a huge migration from Russia to Israel. And basically, it changed the whole surface of sport in Israel because before that, you know, we are not a country that's famous for our sport achievements. But with Paloma, it was, I wanted that Erez will have a character that can also represent a very high level of sport and success. But for him, she right away recognized him a certain poetry, and he recognized it in her. And, you know, together, he's a survival, and he's always looking on ways to survive. And the contact with her give him a lot of strength. She understands him. She's trying to help him, to guide him. And also, this is why I'm closing the film with this. It was important to me to close it with their connection, because I feel that this is what she gives him, and this is what he will take for his life after he's finishing this, trying to be someone else or trying to compete on a real medal, and not like to fight to find yourself and to love yourself. But it was also important to me that she will represent many elements of my childhood when I didn't know to put it in words, but when I watched gymnastics and when I was mesmerized by it, not necessarily from the actual routine. I'm talking about the whole ceremony around it and all the allure, and like he's telling her, you're looking like a film star. So for her, being a champion and now living in this dump, through his eyes, she can claim her glamorous past, because he sees it in her, as she's seeing in him also qualities. So that's it. And Nadia Kocher, the actress that playing her, she's amazing. She nailed it right away. She had this mixture between aristocracy, but also, stuck in the middle of the desert with like budgetless, and like, trying to her room, the scene that you go into her room and you see her tiny details and the colors and the way she looks. It's like a little sanctuary of,
like her success.
Yes. And when she's inviting him in, it's almost, showing him, it's like a safe zone for him. So,
she looks like Daphne Guinness, the model. I find it hard when I see her. I'm like, oh, it's Daphne Guinness.
Oh my God, I'm dying. Daphne Guinness with like the Alexander McQueen kind of.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. It's true. I never thought about it.
So I would love to ask about the visual style of the film, because there are so many moments that just pop. And there's moments of costuming that are so bright and colorful, and moments of the set. You mentioned Paloma's room, and that has so much color. What was kind of the process behind the visuals of the film?
When I quit swimming when I was 21, I basically had nothing, because I didn't have a diploma from school, because I never went to school because I was swimming. I didn't really have friends, and then I didn't even know who I am. So I moved to Berlin, and I decided I want to be a singer, and I released an album, and I composed the music, and then I went more into art, and then I went more into costumes, and then I realized that films, it's the place I can combine everything, and this is what I want to do. And then I didn't know how to enter this world of filmmaking because I had no context and I didn't know nobody. I only knew swimmers. And then I realized that I can become a costume designer. And this was my door to the filmmaking. So I spent some years as a costume designer, listening to how the directors talk, you know, learning the language, learning how you can work with actors. But I also learned the power of costumes, which was my biggest love and until today. But then when I wanted to be to live this costume, you know, when I reached there, I was nominated for the Israeli Academy Awards for my costumes and things like that, but I wanted to be a director. And when I started to be a director, I was ashamed back then to say that I'm directing through costumes. But, you know, film sets can be really harsh, really cruel. It's very, the hierarchy, almost the monarchy is so clear and strict. And to be a costume designer in Israel was related to a feminine kind of job. And I was being laughed at also on film sets. So when I started to be the director and with my second film, I realized that this is my strength. And I'm not ashamed to say I'm directing through costumes. So I basically, this is I feel my strength. And the costume designer of the film, Keren Eyal Melamed, the first thing she did was dive into my private collection of tons of swimwear and, like, you know, swimsuits and that I'm collecting since the 90s. And she used it. And most of the things you see in films are my original Speedos.
Okay.
Together, we took it all the way. So, and especially when the character Erez is always, he's always looking for beautiful. So it was very interesting for me also to ask, what is this fetish of sport and like shiny equipment and, like, you know, it was a layer that I wanted also to touch, also psychological wise, because it's a fetish. It's a fetish, you know, like, so it was a great opportunity and great stage to really show the power of, you know.
You were sharing that a lot of the costumes were from your own private collection.
Yeah. I said, I'm really happy you mentioned it, because that means we succeed to really, you know, go for it. And yeah, and the use of color, the use of neon colors in the film was something that we worked really hard on, you know, to achieve, because also with the contrast with the desert, we were filming in the concrete. I'm coming from, my boyfriend is an artist, and I'm wasting a lot. I'm spending a lot of time of this aspect of films, you know, like the material of stuff. So yeah.
But I think that's a really nice way to kind of complement things with the visuals and also with the music. And the Penelopes obviously contribute the score, and it's incredible. And it's one of the kind of really just, it grabs you from the opening titles. It gets you right in there. How did the collaboration with them come about?
Wow, I love the Penelopes. Oh my God, I'm the biggest fan. But actually, in Jerusalem Film Festival in 2018, we took part in the pitching. Naama Piritz, the producer, and myself. And part of the pitching prize was collaborating with the musicians. So they organized like a fast dating kind of process, where like there are like 5 musicians, and you are going from one table to another, and everybody's trying to hook you. But then I sat down and I met Axel and Vincent, and it was love from first sight. I showed them mine, and they showed me theirs. We were like, oh my God, I couldn't believe, because I was so concerned, because the music for me, it's like one of the main characters, because it's reflect what happened, the inner beat of Erez.
It's a big one, but what do you think it will take for sporting cultures to be less homophobic and misogynistic? How do you think we tackle the homophobia and the misogyny in sport?
I think, first of all, sport, it's just a reflection of something much bigger. I mean, it's the stage that it's, you know, it's just it's a kind of stage that it's very obvious, you know, like, so I don't think that the solution will come from sport. I think it's something that needs to come from much rooted and deeper, you know, level of life.
Yeah.
In sport, I mean, you know, there is a progress. I cannot say there is not a progress, but still there is so much to do. And I think I personally will need like 3 lifetimes to feel that I really did and said all I have to say about this kind of subject. But I hope that this film, even if it's a tiny step, can now, when it exists, and hopefully it will be available soon, so it will be my contribution to make this environment maybe a little better for somebody that can watch it. But I think it's not maybe correct to say, like, when people are talking about homophobia in sport, I mean, it's a subject that's super important to me, but now I know it's almost like putting a bandage on, you know, I mean, you break your leg and somebody's putting a bandage. Yes, it's great, but it's not, you know, it's just, it's very dangerous, because sometimes things have that, they can become like a pink wash really easily, you know, like I'm not blinded by any gay flag that I see. It doesn't mean, you know, I mean, from my experience, it's it's rooted so deep, and I know it because I know I'm also a human being, and I remember how I grew up, and I also can recognize on myself a lot of things, you know, like the first reaction, and then when I actually think about it. But so yeah, it's a bit pessimistic. I don't know the answer. I will tell you that there is an answer, but we need to keep telling our stories in films, in art, in literature, and this is for me the only way that I feel I can contribute to this, and this is what I'm doing proudly.
Okay, you've kind of touched on this slightly. What would you love audiences to take away from The Swimmer, if they could take away something from your film?
That wearing Speedo is amazing. Fashion. No, but
sales will go up.
yeah. The most important for me that people will take from the film is I guess remembering that the gold medal, our goal to win the gold is not the gold that you win in a competition if you made a good score. It's the winning gold in life by choosing yourself and listen to yourself and not trying to be someone else, and push play and dance to your own beat of the drum.
Lovely. And
I gave the title.
The headline is here. Thank you. I think the final scene, it just perfectly captures that message, doesn't it? It's just such a euphoric moment, and you leave feeling quite uplifted, although it's tackled some really dark areas and, you know, some unpleasant truths. You do leave feeling quite hopeful, and I think it's a lovely moment. So thank you very much for chatting, and I'm so sorry that we had technical issues.